place where you got that thing? Didn't you tell me this is where you got it? And I said, yeah. He said, well, I went and I looked and I looked and I couldn't find one. And I was thinking to myself, Daddy, Mama's not going to let you put that up in the house. But that's not what I said. I said, well, Daddy, what are you going to do with it? And he said, well, I want to take it out and put it up in Billy Lane's barn. I said, well, if I go out there again, I'll look for you one if I can find one. So I came to bring this to Mr. Lane tonight. I'll let you hold it up. And what it says is, manure occureth. And I won't translate, but I'll let Mr. Lane.
Shit happens.
Yes.
I know some people out there have more stories. I want to hear it. Where's Bud?
Okay, thank y'all. How I knew Joe was through Rob Crosby, who used to be a writer for our company, the company Hank and I owned, the publishing company in Nashville. And Rob told me just such great things about Joe Cantarella. I never knew Joe really well personally. I mean, he was such a big guy that I was always kind of scared of him. And so I just thought he was just bigger than life. But I heard he was a fantastic quarterback, and I've just heard great things about him. And I did hear him singing here sometimes, and he really had a real unique personality in his voice. There was something different about Joe, and he was a loving guy. He was a loving guy to everybody, and I never have heard a bad word spoken about him. And I wish I could say that about myself, that I'd never heard anything like that. But anyway, Joe, this is just a wonderful event to commemorate his life, and that's what we're here tonight to do. And Joe would, if he is looking down and seeing all this, he's appreciating it so much, and I'm sure there are tears in his eyes about the whole thing. And I just want to thank Billy Lane and everybody who's contributed here tonight. And I didn't know what kind of crowd we'd have with all these ball games, going on. I told my wife, Weta, I said, Weta, there may not be 10 or 15 people there. I mean, we've got South Carolina playing, and we've got LSU and Alabama and all this stuff. And well, I'm way down yonder part. So it's wonderful that we all get together when these events come along, that we don't let things get in the way of that. And I honor Joe, and I thank God for having the chance to know him. Not real good, but to know him. I do want to mention one thing, but I want us to keep it, I want this to be light. This afternoon I had an opportunity to go to the hospital just for a minute or two and see Lou Ann Walker. I talked to Murdoch today. They handed him the phone. He was about the same and everything, but I went to see Lou Ann this afternoon and had prayer for her that God in all of his mercy, the merciful Lord, would just take her pretty quick, because she's suffering a lot. But they've been wonderful people in my life. They've brought me joy and happiness and just a lot of laughs. Murdoch knows his mind is just so good. And I grew up with Murdoch for 18 years. He lived next door to me. So when it comes time, if there is any kind of memorial for him one of these days, if he beats me out of here, then I'm going to say a few words about some real great stories of Murdoch Walker. I just want us all to know about the brevity of life. In the book of James, it talks about that we are just a vapor that appear for a short time and then we're gone. And that's why these gatherings, Billy and Billy Hall, are so fantastic. Because I mean, what do you do? Have maybe 2 a year? They're fantastic because of the brevity of life, and we all just need to recognize that, be aware of it, but be happy every day that we have another day, to just thank God for His mercy and His grace in our life. So thank y'all for listening to me for a minute, and I thank God for Joe Cantarella and his life. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody that knew Joe?
No, I was just going to say Joe must have been a pack rat, because he would come by the office and he would bring things from, oh my God, 7th grade. Nan, you must be having a wonderful time. Billy Lane would like to go with you and help you clean out. And also, thank you for sharing such a great guy with us. We love you. I remember the last gathering we had, I was hugging up on Joe trying to get some loving from him. And Nan bumped into me and she turned around and she looked and she said, "Oh, it's just you, Maggie." I thought, oh my goodness, am I chopped liver or what? Thank you. I know you didn't. We love you.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Anybody else? Anybody else who has a story about Joe? Okay.
Hello.
We're family.
I played football with Joe, and we were sitting on the bench one night. Joe was whittling on a stick. And he took that stick and wedged down in his helmet real tight. It was sticking straight up. Well, they told him to go in the game, so he went to pull it out, didn't come out, so he ran in the game. Cowboy Osteen was the referee just about every Friday night. He knew everybody by the name. Cowboy grabbed him by the arm and said, "Joe, what's that stick doing in your helmet?" He said, "That's my antenna. I'm getting signals from the bench."
That's great. Great.
Okay, there you go, partner.
I'm Pat, partner.
Before everybody who lives in Tennessee calls somebody Bo or partner.
But we had something tonight.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, thank you, brother. Joe Cantarella was the wildest man that I think I've ever met from Sumter. I remember he had a little teeny white, I don't know what model of the year it was, but it was a Porsche. And there was nothing going on in Sumter, and every night of blue moon, he would out get in that car and go to Columbia to a club called, it wasn't an Army Navy club on Wheat Street. And we would go over there and play with those people, and there was a band called the Sabres. I can't believe I can remember this. Anyway, we were coming back one night, and it was so foggy. We got down in the bottom of Watery Swamp, and it was so foggy we could not see. And he made me drive. And he put his foot on the, because I wanted to go slow because of the fog, and he put his foot on the accelerator and would not take it off. And we were doing like 65, 70 miles an hour in fog that you could not see that far. And I rolled the window down, I was looking at the white line. Look at the white line just to stay straight. We got to Alice Drive, and a Greyhound bus had run into the back of a truck because of the fog. We just went by like this, nothing to it. But the real story was, we were going to Pawleys Island to what is it, Laywa or something. And we were going the back way, 521, and we went through Greeleyville. Y'all ever been to Georgetown? You go to Greeleyville and you turn left. You got just a sharp left on 521. Cantarella was driving. We were doing about 65, 70 miles an hour. I said, "Turn left here." and we slid sideways between the gas pumps and a service station into a cotton field. And that's my story. He was a wild man.
Okay, I'm Mitch Newton. Joe Calmarello was the big brother I never had, and he was always getting my ass in trouble. I was part of the group of people who lived on Poinsett Drive, and every day after school there was some kind of event going on at Joe's house. My mother used to tell me, "Don't you go any place without coming home first." Well, Joe got me on restriction for the first time in my life a week, because I did what little brothers always do, and I went down to Joe's house. We had a big ball game in Vernon Ash's backyard every afternoon. It was Pauline, Joe, me, Robert Terry, and like I said, Vernon Ash, and a girl named, I believe, Patsy Kirby, and others who decided to play. If you hit it over the left fence, it was an out. If you hit it over the right fence, it was an out. If you hit it over the back fence, it was a home run. Joe was the first guy who did the bit about the Cinderella story that you see on Caddyshack. He kind of invented that by hitting them over the back fence. It was a Cinderella story. But Joe organized this big sleepover in a tent in the back of Vernon's backyard. And I could tell you some stories about Joe when we were kids that really wouldn't go very well in mixed company, but they were guy things, boy things that we did that were just growing up stuff that you had to do if you were around Joe. But we decided we were going to sleep out in this tent. Well, there was me, Vernon, Robert Terry, Pauline, Patsy Kirby, and maybe a couple others I don't remember. But we drank red Kool-Aid by the gallon all night long. All night long. Well, the first thing you know, the sun's coming up. Joe was the first one. He got up, went outside the tent, and we heard this horrible screaming and yelling. "What's the matter? What's the matter?" Well, we go all out there, and Joe's peeing red. Well, we all know what had to happen next. We all had to take a pee, everybody. But Joe was the only one who was peeing red. But he was a good big brother. We all played baseball, and I believe I was underage at the time, and I think he lobbied for me to get on my first baseball team from Mr. Weinberg. So that's my Joe story.
Is there anybody else that has anything about Joe they'd like to say? Otherwise, we got one right here.
I had the opportunity to ask Joe if I could marry his daughter, and his other daughter, the one that could pump gas. And I got him sort of cornered in one of the rooms, and I said, "I'd like to talk to you about something kind of serious." And Nan, you started talking immediately and would not stop. I think you were as nervous as I was. And I said, "I was just wondering if I could have permission to marry your daughter." And Joe said, "Well, do you have a lot of money?" "Because she likes to shop." And I said, "No, but I'll find it." And I never did. But other thing is, I think that I was in his good graces because I was the only other person to nearly match his transcript for our freshman years. He pulled it out almost immediately after meeting him again, and he said, "You ever see anything like this, sir?" I said, "Yes, let me go get mine out of the car." And that's his over there. Mine's been hidden. I've burned mine, but he didn't have it. He loved his grandchildren, and we named our son Joe after him, and he's taken up the guitar and is quite a musician and could not wait to play his latest song, or whatever, for his grandfather, and we are sad he's not around anymore. Thank y'all for doing this.
One last thing. Nanette, where are you? There you are. The wind beneath Joe's wings is standing right here. And I've always thought about Nanette. When I think about Joe, when I think about Nanette, I go, that don't compute. What? But I've never seen a deeper love and unconditional, and I'm not even sure what's all there, but I know it's good. Bless you, Nanette. Not to disgrace Joe, but Nanette, the Lord knows you're on a pedestal.
We ready to rock now. Do you like good music? Hank's got some for you.